And welcome to the new session. And in this, we will be completing and we will be covering up the CSS topics, small CSS topics like that you just have to go through so that it will be helpful in the projects further. So, first of all, we have completed our HTML thing, and yeah, from here, like from basics of HTML to a final project. I hope like you have created that final project, and some of the students have also sent me through mail, so it was good. Like your HTML concepts are clear. Then if you were able to create that project, then it was good, right? Now if you are now confident with these HTML things, we will be moving to the CSS part. So if I talk about CSS, then we just need to first of all, we will be covering up these particular small topics. I will be giving just a glimpse of these topics so that uh, you can just go through by yourself and have a good knowledge. You can just read it by W3 schools, or you can just watch tutorials on that. And after completing these, we will be creating projects. Okay, so let's start with CSS then. So if I talk about first of all, like introduction to CSS and types of CSS. Okay, so first of all, if we talk about CSS, then in our journey of the front end development, we have seen HTML is the structure of our HTML basically is the structure of our website, right? But we need styling thing. Okay, we need, like, for example, if you want to style, basically if you want to just give clothes to your structure, okay, then you need to use CSS, right? So the full form of CSS is cascading styling sheets. Okay, if you go through it, cascading styling sheets, right? Now since it is one of the stylings that we give to our structure of the front end or of our website, so we can give these structuring through these styling through three ways, right? So there are three types of giving styling. First is internal, second is external, and third is inline CSS. Okay, so if I talk about first, let's talk about inline thing, because it is one of the most easily used CSS types. So inline CSS basically is a type of CSS. For example, let me show you by example. uh, for example, mm, yeah, we have also used that CSS in our HTML projects also. So just by giving example, let's say we have to style this h2, right? So we will be giving it the inline CSS by just giving style and just adding styling thing. Okay, so color equals to red, right? So this is done. So we have given, so this is the inline CSS, right? Now if I talk about what is uh, what is external and internal CSS. So basically internal CSS is given by this. Okay, so we at the head part, we have to include one tag, which is the style tag, and here we just have to give a normal styling the way we give. For example, this is the styling type that we give here. Okay, so this is the internal CSS, right? Now if I talk about what is the external CSS, so similarly the way we are giving here, we will be just let me just remove this. So here I have added one file which its name is style.css. Now this is style.css, right? And the properties and the like effects that I've used here is this. In short, this entire thing is called the external CSS. That's it, nothing more. So you can give it by inline also. Okay, inline CSS, internal CSS, or external CSS. Okay, so it depends on like how and what is easy for you, and like what type of project you are creating. Okay, so that was it, right? Now let's move to the second thing. So now as second topic is selectors. Okay, so there are selectors such as combined selector. You can read about these selectors: type selector, class selector, ID selector, attribute selector, pseudo class selector, and pseudo element selector. and combined selector and universal selector. Okay, so these are like, don't worry, like these are like sound, you might be feelings, or like you might be feeling nervous like what all these terms are basically, but don't be like nervous about these things. You will be just when you practice, you will be just using these things so smoothly. Okay, so basically what is selector? Okay, so selector is, for example, let me show you here. For example, like if I want to style h2, if I want to style something, and so in order to select that particular thing, okay, listen very like focusedly what I'm saying. What I'm saying, I am saying that in order to select that particular element, okay, and give styling to that, so the process of doing that is known as selector. Okay, so for example, if I want to style that particular h1, okay, all the h1 in our, in my code, if I want to style them, so I will be just selecting it like this. Okay, and there are different ways of selecting things. So for example, combined selector. So combined selector is like selecting two or more elements at a time. So for example, if I want to select uh, h1, if I've done h1 here, h2 here, so if I want to give a styling to both of them, then I can just add h1 here. So here we can say that they are combined now, so h1 and h2 will be styled at a at a single session, right? So you don't need to give it again and again. So that's the thing, right? Now let's talk about type selector, class selector. So basically type selector is the similar only. So here the h1, we are just directly writing h1 and giving styling to that, so it is type selector, right? Now let's talk about class selector and id selector. Okay, so class selector, we select class by using dot. Okay, now let me show you where our class is. For example, let me give some class to a new element. For suppose uh, for example, I'm giving class to this. Okay, so I have given class to this, and let's say it is h21, right? H123. Okay, so now if I talk about like how I will be selecting that class, so just enter dot, write h12 name of the class, and just do it by this. Okay, now you can add properties here. So this is the like way of selecting class. Similarly, if I talk about the id selector, then id selector is, if you just go and give the id to uh, go and give id to this particular thing. Okay, so id is let's say now id is 007. Okay, so now the way of selecting id is you just go and enter hash and write the name of the id and just give it by this. Okay, so this is a way of selecting id, right? So yeah, so these were some of the common selectors that we used in a code. So type selector, class selector, id selector. Now if we talk about the attribute selector, then you can just directly write the name of the attribute. Okay, and just enclose it by this particular bracket and give styling to that. Okay, so this will be the class attribute selector. If we talk about the pseudo class selector, pseudo element selector, combined selector, universal selector, so these are like some of the like selectors that are not more like, we have seen combined selector basically in h1 h2 tag. If we talk about the universal thing, so these let me show you the universal thing also. So if I talk about the universal thing, so it is given by this asterisk star symbol, and then you just have to give styling to that. Okay, so this is a way of styling universal by through universal selector. Okay, so these are like some of the common selectors that we use in normally our day-to-day projects, right? Now if I go move on to the properties of css, so you can just read about like more about these selectors through various documentation such as mozilla or like mdn documents basically. And the second one I was talking about like these w3 school documents. Okay, so you can just read about these documents there. Now if I talk about the properties thing in CSS, so okay, so now after selecting these many things, okay, I have selected this particular thing, and now how can I assign properties to these particular elements and attribute? Okay, so for example, I have to give color, so I will write color red, then color pink. Okay, so this is one of the, sorry, this was the background color, so you can give it by this was the color thing. This is the background image by which you can enter or like add background. This is the background repeat, etc. So background repeat, here it says that like if your image is repeating again and again, like once you add it and you just don't want that to be added, then you just use background repeat and you just enter like the value no repeat. So no repeat. Okay, so yeah, this is how you use background repeat, right? Now the font properties, there are various types of font properties available. So for example, font family. Okay, font family, you can just write and give the type of fonts that are that will help the program, or like basically what type of styling do you need, like what type of words do you want. So font, by giving font family, you can just okay, then there are font style. Okay, there are like so these are like some of the font properties. You can just read about these things, and the main thing that I am just pressuring right now, or that's focusing right now, is like you just, when you will practice these many things, you will get through this. So you don't have to just cram or like wrote or like memorize everything. You will just get everything through practice. Okay, now if I talk about like this text properties, then there will be like text align, text decoration, text transform, text identification, word transspacing. Okay, shorthand properties, so there are like such shorthand properties such as font italic and all these things. So when we talk about like this shorthand property, then in this case we will be giving two or more than two properties at just one glance, like just one spot. Okay, so here we are giving like font italic bold. So this is 1 2 3 and 4. So this is like shortened property basically. Okay, you are giving more than property in just one code. Okay, that's what it is. Now we talk about what is DOM in CSS, or like what is DOM basically. So DOM actually stands for document object model, and document object model is it refers to our hierarchy basically, in which uh, in which like entire hierarchy of the code is written, the way it will be processed, the way it will be carried forward. So the it is written in that form, and the way like these changes will be reflected to your code. So these many changes are reflected and written through DOM. So DOM is like one of the most important things. Okay, now there are properties, or there are units such as like relative units and absolute units. So relative units is like you are giving something like height or something like with relation to something. For example, there is something like property such as a. So if you want to give units to it, or if you want to assign something to it, so you can give with relation to something. Okay, and there is something like absolute unit. You are just purely giving you are just purely giving like entire properties to that particular thing. So that is like absolute unit and relative unit. You can just read about these many things also. Okay, now there is one of the most important thing in CSS is box model. Okay, so box model basically okay, box model is the one of the most important things in CSS. Now for example, this if you are able to see this, uh, let me zoom this. So if you are able to see this particular thing, okay, so now this is box model basically. In box model, if I talk about, so in box model basically we give um, content, our content what we enter, we give it border to it, we give padding to it, we give margin to it. So when we give all these things, then virtually a box is created basically. And this entire thing is known as box model. Okay, so this is the content geeks for geeks. Okay, we have given padding property to it. Okay, then we have given border to it, margin to it, and this entire combination of all these properties is helping us to create a box model, a box like structure virtually. Okay, so this is like it is basically helpful in creating a lot of uh, uh, like lot of like animations, also a lot of like things. Okay, now if I go through list styling, table styling, so we have seen list and tables in our previous sessions. Also in mostly in HTML we have created various list and table also. So we can just style these many things also through our CSS. So that was the thing, like you can just read about like how to style and all these things, you can just have a glimpse over it. Okay, now let's talk about cascading specificity, uh, and also inheritance. Okay, so like these are some of the extra, we could say that these are some of the advanced CSS properties. Okay, so yeah, so like you can just have a read about like these many things. But before that, let me show you what why I'm telling like these are some of the advanced features of CSS. So okay, let me show you cascading specificity and inheritance. Okay, so let me come to the browser. Specificity and inheritance. Okay, so let me just give a basic glimpse about these topics. Okay, okay, so here now we were talking about this cascade thing. Okay, specificity and this is the inheritance thing. Okay, so now one more thing, like you can just have like let me give you show you the examples basically. So this is inheritance things. Okay, this is our specificity thing. This is like this specificity is basically like about uh, like how we are just prioritizing our properties. Okay, which properties like more prioritized than others, so it will be used. And this is like the cascading thing. So you can just have a read about these many things through these documents like MDN docs. Okay, you can just read all these documents and you can just have a basic glimpse like what these things are. Okay, so now let's not go in deep in it. Okay, now so we have seen this inheritance thing specific skill, and there are some properties like extra properties that you can just have look over it. So overflow property or object fit properties, and overflow properties basically like when your content is overflowing from the box or from the particular area that you have created, so you can just assign in it or make sure it is coming in a particular zone or not. Okay, so object fit properties like if you have like added some image and if you just want to want it to fit the entire border or something, you can just have a look. You can use this property. Okay, now there is something like styling form using CSS. So so we have seen like list, tables. Now we have also created forms, okay, in the previous session, and we just style them through mostly like at a advanced level. We just used inline CSS till then, but we can also use advanced CSS so that we can easily uh, style these forms basically. And yeah, so list, table, and these forms, so these can be easily styled, right? Now you can just also like have a practice on it. Let me give a basic announcement also. So we will be doing a project on this form also. We will be styling a form using CSS, so there you can practice and learn about this particular thing. Let's move forward. So one more thing, like I hope like you might be getting a basic glimpse or a some summary of all these topics. Okay, so you just don't need to cram or memorize all these things. Everything is based on the property, or like the way like not the property, practice basically. Like if you when we will be practicing all these things, we will be learning a lot. So I've just given the name of the topics. If you want to go, then you can just have a look on this list, right? Now let's move forward. And I was talking about this is seventh thing. So uh, okay, this seventh thing. So we have tools such as debugging tool, inspect element, and all these things. So basically, what is this debugging? Like if you want to, once your website is created, then you just need to, or through any website, like you can just use this debugging tool, and you can just see the properties of CSS, HTML used there. Okay, you can just directly access that thing through just right clicking and right clicking, and you can just enter here developer options. Okay, so this is the inspect element thing. This is the developer and the debugging tool that we have inbuilt in our browser basically. So here I can just use all these particular things, and let me show you this. So here I am able to see the properties. 1 pixel padding, 6 pixel this padding is given basically. What type of this name is this, what type of particular button is this, background is the, like what background is given, and all these things, like margin is given. So yeah, so that is one thing. Like this is the debugging tool. You can explore it more. And yeah, now now let's come to the eighth part, which is clip path maker. Okay, so clip path maker is basically, if you want, if you have some image. Okay, if you have some image such as uh, like for example, let's have a image of Apple only, or let's have some personality, Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, so if you have an image of CR7, okay, now if I just want to have a, this is in the square portion, right? If you want to have it in just circle, just like the dot or the thing, that if you are able to see this, if you want to have image, particular image in this particular shape, then you can use this clip path maker. And also let me show you clip path maker. So here it is. So yeah, you can just directly add your image. You can just select what all for example, I need circle, and this particular code will be given. You just need to copy paste this code in your, so you will be having this image in your code, right? So this is clip path maker. And last thing like that we can do in this session, that we can complete in this session, is like the responsiveness media queries. Okay, so responsiveness, if I just explain in short, so it is basically like if you are using a particular website or an app in different devices, so the screen size is different, right? And if you want that your app looks, or if website looks great in all the devices, basically on laptop, on your phone, on tablet, so you can just use this responsive things, in which we have a function, or we can have a property such as media queries. So by using these media queries, we can directly like help, so that our like website gets created in a form, in such a way that it is visible in all the devices, right? Let me show you. We can go here, we can, yeah. So this is the thing, right? So here you are able to see this, it is responsive. And by just changing the, you can see that by just changing the name of the devices, the size is changing, right? So if you want like your website looks great in all the devices, then you can just use this responsiveness and media queries. You can just read more about it. We are going to have projects on this also, so it will help you, right? It will like you will get more there. So till then guys, I hope like you might have gone through, or you might have understood like all, or you might not have understood, like you might just have a basic glimpse like what these topics are, what we are going to use. And you can go through by yourself, like you can self study them. If you have any doubt, if you want to understand something in more deep, so you can just ping us, okay, through our mail or through comment section. And one more thing, now in the next session we will be having projects on this css thing, okay? So there you will be learning a lot, okay? So do attend those sessions. And yeah, so let's not increase the size of this video. I hope in these 30 minutes or 27 minutes of video you had a summary of all the css till now, okay? So thank you guys, let's meet in the second session. And till then, keep learning and keep practicing, and let me know if you have any doubts, okay? Thank you guys.